I'm Tish, and today I'm going to be talking about the things not to say to someone who's just been diagnosed with cancer. I was inspired to do this because I think we all have those kinds of stories where someone said something just really tactless. But that's 100 times worse when you've just been diagnosed with cancer and that tactless comment makes you contemplate death. So I'm actually part of this fantastic Facebook group for 20-year-olds people in their 20s who have been diagnosed with cancer. It's a fantastic place just to kind of share experiences and get some help. And I think there is something about being diagnosed in your 20s that just is different. It's a different experience to being diagnosed, say, in your 30s, or perhaps if you're younger. So on this group, I messaged saying, "Hey guys, I'm thinking of doing a video on the things not to say to someone diagnosed with cancer," and it just blew up. There were a lot of comments. Everyone seemed to have some of these horrible stories about being someone saying something really tactless, or multiple things in most cases. And I just thought I'd do this fairly fun, light-hearted video just to kind of go through some of those, because some of them are quite hilarious. There's sometimes you just think, wow, why did someone say that? So let's get on with it. So I think the things roughly fall into three categories, in my opinion. And so there's the things that feel like they would be common sense not to say to somebody. And if you thought about it for just a little bit, surely this person would also reach that conclusion. So there's that category. And then there's the category of things that aren't obvious, but when you've been diagnosed, they feel unpleasant. So all of these things are well-intentioned, I'm sure. I'm not discounting that at all. But these things, genuinely, you're like, why is this bad? But if you're in that position where you've been diagnosed with cancer, it just takes on a different meaning. And then there's a third category, which are the things that some people would find funny. I probably find funny. My way of dealing with this has been quite humorous throughout. But I think it depends on the context, on the person, on the situation, who's saying it, the mood the person is in. So that's kind of the third category. And obviously all of these are fairly subjective, or majorly subjective. So in category number one of things that are just obviously common sense not to say to people, we have number one. Oh, it's so sad. You know X died of this type of cancer. Oh, and Y, poor Y. This relation of mine, they had some unrelated type of cancer and they died. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I hadn't contemplated all the people who had died from cancer. Yeah, that was helpful, thank you. Oh dear, what's your prognosis? Why would you ask me that? Have you tried? Insert some wacky thing here. Have you tried being vegan? Have you tried avoiding sugar? Have you tried an alkaline diet? Have you tried incense? Have you tried crystals? Have you tried pineapple juice? Pineapple juice was one I actually got. It was my housemate and ex's dad. He came to visit and he was like, have you tried pineapple juice? Don't have chemo. This is always the thing, is don't have chemo. Try pineapple juice. Gosh, you did say if pineapple juice cured cancer, I'd say something about the NHS spending and things like that, no matter how much they'd spent to keep me alive, but let's for a second think how much the cost of pineapple juice would increase, right? If pineapple juice cured cancer, wouldn't you market it very expensively as a cancer cure? They're only breasts. I think a lot of people who've had breast cancer have heard this one. If you're going to have a mastectomy, you're going to lose your breast. And I understand that it's trying to reassure you you're losing your breasts, but no one cares. Like, but they're not only breasts, they're a part of your body, they're a part of your identity. It's fairly major surgery. Like, it's, you know, it's just, they're only breasts it's just not helpful. You know, like, to most people, it's not only breasts, you know, it's part of your sexual identity, it's part of your body that is being there, you know. It's about looking symmetrical, it's about you know, feeling attractive. It's so much more than just breasts. And I get the intention. I think the execution is poor. Comparing some slightly smaller tragedy in your life and drawing comparisons like pregnancy can be a little bit untactful. There were a few comments about that, and like, you have something not life-threatening that is a bit of a nuisance in your life, and I feel sorry for you, I really do. But please don't compare it to me being diagnosed with cancer. Like, I'm sorry, and we can talk about your thing, that is fine. But let's not compare, shall we? Because my gut feeling is the one that's life-threatening is probably worse. Probably. And, you know, your pregnancy might suck, and yes, feel free to moan about that, but let's not pretend they're at the same level, shall we? A fairly serious one is making the mistake that thinking everyone's experience will be the same. And I've read some really horrible stories in the comments where, like, colleagues and things have been like, well, this other person who went through chemo breezed along, you know, they managed to work through it all, and they were like jogging marathons. You always hear about these people jogging and running, and people's bodies just aren't the same. People's cancers aren't the same. People's reaction to treatment just isn't the same, and people are on different treatments as well. So you know, it's just not possible to go, well, this is how one person reacted, therefore this is how you will react. Some people, it's crippling. I was very tired through treatment. I found walking up the stairs hard, and I think a lot of people do. It's, you know, and there's certain points through chemo that get easier. There's times where you can't get out of bed, and everyone's experience is going to be different. Some people might be like, so, okay, example, steroids. I was on steroids for some of my treatment, and in general, steroids make you awake and bounce off the walls, and I was tired. I was tired on the steroids. I struggled to sleep a bit, but I was tired. Very tired. I had no energy. Whereas my doctor had assured me that I would be bouncing off the walls and cleaning the house at 3 a.m. Wasn't my experience. So everyone's different, and you could really mess up somebody's their like confidence in how well they're doing to cope, and B, like, if it's in relation to work, you could really damage somebody's livelihood if you're being a jerk about, well, this person managed chemo fine. I think you probably hit some employment laws there. Cancer isn't as hard as it used to be, and I mean, there are some good things to take from this. Cancer is more survivable now. We have a lot better treatments. don't think it's easier. Like, the treatments for cancer are, in general, fairly harsh. And it's great that we can treat more. It's great that more people are surviving. But people don't always survive it. The sad truth is, cancer can be fatal, and you know, it's a lot of people do have relatives who've died from cancer. Cancer might kill some of us. So, you know, it's, even though there's been massive strides taken in treatment, that's still a looming threat. That's still an uncomfortable thing to have to live with. And the second thing is, the more we find treatments for it, actually it feels like the harder cancer will be to cope with, because the treatments are harsh. You know, cancer is horrible. The treatments are also horrible. You know, it has to be a strong, horrible drug to deal with it. So easier. So with that one, I don't even think it's true. In many ways. In addition to that, how does that help a person who's been diagnosed with cancer? Like, it doesn't. Like, oh, don't feel bad. Other people have it worse. Had it worse in the past. Like, yay! Maybe you didn't look after yourself well enough. I saw a stat about, I'm gonna have to look it up, but about how many people, how many cancers, like what percentage of cancers are to do with lifestyle choices. And some of them are, like, without a shadow of a doubt, some of them are to do with lifestyle choices. And you can increase your risk of cancer by smoking, by eating an unhealthy diet, by not exercising. But sometimes cells just go rogue. Like, I can even have a genetic mutation. Some people have genetic mutations. That's not about not looking after yourself. And sometimes bodies just make that mistake. Something just goes wrong randomly, and that's nobody's fault. The stat was about, I don't know if it was like 7 out of 10 or something to that effect. 6, 7 out of 10 are not environmental factors. They're not lifestyle choices that you've made. Which is not to say go out there and chain smoke packets and packets of cigarettes and eat like really tons and tons of red meat. That's not what that's saying. What that's saying is, cancer is not just about not having looked after yourself. I consider myself a fairly healthy person. Having health anxiety made me very conscious of the kind of things I was doing to my body. I still got cancer, which doesn't feel fair, but it's, you know, it's not always that you didn't look after yourself well enough. And even if that was the case, why does saying that to somebody help? And my favourite was what my boss said to me after I'd just been diagnosed with cancer. I was on the phone to him, just telling him that I'd been diagnosed with cancer. I can't remember now, it's a year ago, what came up in the conversation, but my boss said something to the effect of, "Oh no, but you're worried about seeing next spring." I'd just been diagnosed with cancer. Like, yes, well now I am. I was actually trying to be positive, but no, now you've got me thinking about my own mortality. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm going to try and maintain a professional conversation on the phone, but I'm going to go and be a wreck and sob as soon as I get off. Like, that was quite mentally damaging, and I've told that story a lot of times. You know, you have to laugh at them. Like, these comments, you have to laugh. But you could do without them. The second bucket. Things that are, I mean, they're all well-intentioned, but things that you might not obviously strike you as being wrong. Are you sure you have cancer? You're so young. Now everyone likes to be told that they're young. I like it when the nurses like grab my stomach and to inject me, and they're like, "Oh, barely grab anything." Like, yes, you know. I still don't like the injection. So everyone likes being told they're young, but are you sure you have cancer? Like, yes, I'm very sure I have cancer. Yeah, they're not going to have given me chemo if they weren't sure I had cancer. They're not going to have chopped my breasts off if they weren't sure I had cancer. You know, I had radiation if they weren't sure I had cancer. And like, they're fairly sure I have cancer. It just doesn't help. Yes, you know, we'd all love like it to come back and it's like, actually we were wrong. You know, you don't have cancer, you're going to live to a ripe old age, everything's going to be fine. Everyone wants to hear that. Or one would think. But yes, we're sure. This one's a bit controversial. But because I understand it, I'm putting it in. You're so brave, you're so inspirational. The sentiment is lovely, but you don't feel brave. You don't feel like an inspiration. You're just trying to live your life with the challenges that life has thrown at you. We didn't go out and pick to have cancer. It wasn't a choice we made. Oh, this will be, you know, a difficult, challenging path. It just happened, and in order to survive, we have to keep doing things, and we want to survive, so we keep going through chemo, we keep having surgery, we keep coping with the stress of knowing that we have or have had cancer. Because what is the other option? It's not brave, it's just human nature to want to keep surviving. And given the challenges that were thrown at us, you know, given the challenges that were thrown at us, we have to do what we have to do. We didn't pick it. So I understand what the sentiment, you know, you're coping gracefully, perhaps, would be a better, like, you're coping, you know, well. Something about something that actually was a choice, how you cope with it is a nicer thing to compliment someone on than just that you're brave or inspirational. At least you'll get new boobs. Actually, me and my mum like have joked about this quite a lot, but I think it's important. It's important that it comes from the right person, and you're in the right mood, and that there's the understanding there that, you know, if it comes from someone that you're not that well acquainted with, it's just a bit flippant. You know, when I'm joking about it with my mum, I know that my mum understands how horrific this has all been for me. That it's not just, you know, a boob job on the NHS. Like, that even if I get reconstruction, even if I'm allowed reconstruction, that breast won't feel like my other breast. I won't have sensation there. It might not even look right, you know, it might not fit right. So, and the fact that my mom knows all of this makes it okay for us to joke about it. Whereas if it came from some friend that I barely speak to, I would be a bit like, yeah, but no, it's not just, and I understand, but no. So I do think this one, it really matters who got there, which probably makes it the third category. Oh well. You've got the good cancer. There's no good cancer. This is God's plan. Oof! Do I need to explain that one? You might think you'll be reassuring. Get well soon cards? I didn't get any get well soon cards, I don't think, other than after my surgery, which makes sense. But like when you get diagnosed with cancer, getting a get well soon card, like, no, you just don't, because with cancer you don't get well soon. And even when it's gone, cancer is still a big part of your life. Cancer is a huge part of my life, and I finished the bulk of my treatment. You don't just get well soon. So it's a fairly hollow sentiment. I hope you get well soon. Well, I won't. You know, treatment will last a long time. I understand the sentiment, but that one you just think about it. Are they going to get well soon? No. Thinking of you, perhaps. My dad said to me, it's going to be really tough. Chemo's going to be really tough. Like, yes, Dad, it is. You're right, it's going to be tough. Therefore, I'll just not do it. You're right, it's too hard. Never mind, I don't want cancer now. We know, everyone knows that chemo is tough and cancer is tough. Like, that's fairly common knowledge. I don't know what you want me to do with that knowledge. But you don't look sick. Yes, I've worked very hard not to look sick. You don't look sick. I probably had cancer for quite a while before I was diagnosed. I didn't look sick. I was diagnosed with cancer, my life came crashing down, and I looked like me. I took scissors to my hair and hacked it off because I wanted some outward representation of the inner turmoil I was feeling. Because I just looked in the mirror and I just saw me. Actually, it was a bit of a relief during chemo to look sick. Because to be told that you're life-threateningly ill and not feel it, not seem it, is bizarre. It feels illogical. It's like I thought everything was fine, and then it wasn't. So, yeah, you don't look sick. Well, do you know what you should take from that? To check your body thoroughly. Even if you feel and look well. And thirdly, the ones that actually I usually find quite funny. You're in the Cancer Club. It's just about gauging your audience. And the mood they're in. Like, you're in. Some people try and deal with it with, like, humour. And honestly, that's the route I took. But it's not going to work for everyone. It's not going to feel right for everyone. So it's about working out what's going to work for them. Again, another one that I actually quite embraced was the whole warrior thing. I used that to feel strong. But I can see how you might not want, you know, you don't feel strong. You don't feel like a warrior, you're just a person. You're not battling anything, you're just unwell and having treatment. And I can see how for some people that doesn't help. So again, gauging audience. And the oh so famous, you look like, insert someone bald here. It can be flattering, it can be very unflattering. I sat and compared myself to Smeagol a lot, you know, it wasn't helpful. If someone else had said it to me, I'd probably broke down in tears. Casper was one that I read in the comments, like, oh my god. It's, again, using your judgment to work out if that is going to be the right thing to say to this particular person at this particular time. And that's kind of what the note I want to end on. The jokes are important, But everyone handles it differently, and the best thing to do is try and talk to that person, the person that you're wanting to say this to, and try and understand what helps them. If they're making jokes, then maybe it's alright to crack a joke, but maybe you can't crack the morbid ones that they are. Maybe that's not gonna help, you know? You have to work out. And don't be annoyed if what they need changes day by day, or even hour by hour. Because it's a really difficult thing to come to terms with, and sometimes you just feel really good and you feel strong and positive and the jokes just keep on coming, and then suddenly you feel scared and down and low, and these things then just aren't helpful. So basically, things not to say to cancer patients whenever the cancer patient doesn't want to hear. You need to learn to read the person. I just want to say thank you to the girls in the cancer Facebook group for 20-year-olds. It was nice to read that my experience was, I was not alone, that we've all had ridiculous things said to us, and interesting to see that all of us react differently to different comments. Well, admittedly, some of them were just oofed all around. Yeah. And I'm thinking of doing a follow-up video about what you should say to someone who's been diagnosed with cancer. So keep an eye out for that. And yeah, I'll keep making videos. So keep an eye out, subscribe, like, comment, let me know what you thought, let me know if you disagree. I'm happy to hear that. And yeah.